Oh, I have a terrible headache. I've just had a horrible headache most of the night last night, all through the night. Yesterday evening, a little bit this morning, but meditating helped a little bit with that. Just being able to sit quietly and put some healing energy onto my head. Okay. We left off at the fourth chakra, heart chakra, which is really activated for me this morning. Memories of my son. It's just an open wound I don't think will ever heal. It won't ever heal. Losing a child is the hardest pain a person ever has to go through. Okay, the third chakra, which is the solar plexus. For me personally, I struggle with this one. I often give my power away to other people and save none for myself. I'm learning. Third chakra lesson: honor yourself. Power, self-respect, strengths, self-esteem, self-discipline, ambition, courage, generosity, ethics, instincts, and intuition. Shadow: abdicating personal power of choice out of a need for approval, narcissistic behavior. Continuing down the spinal column, the next chakra corresponds to the solar plexus, located between the navel and the sternum. This is the power center of your self-esteem, personality, and ego. All of your interactions with people begin via your third chakra. I once overheard someone say that the greatest curse of the human experience is low self-esteem, and I cannot agree more. The insecurities that arise from a lack of self-esteem generate an almost disabling degree of vulnerability. You are unable to hold your center or withstand criticism. You have trouble expressing your opinions and needs and drawing your boundaries of self-protection. You don't trust your intuition. Without self-esteem, we lack the courage to carve our place in the world and may end up being controlled by other people. Your third chakra is, in effect, your loudest voice, and it is also your intuitive guide, hence the term gut instinct. According to your third chakra's initial impression, your other chakras either shut down, send warning signals, or open up to welcome the person into your energy field. For although your five senses provide your mind with the lay of external land, the sensory system of the third chakra conveys the feeling of the land, from sensing what could be hiding behind the bushes to feeling an atmosphere pregnant with potential and opportunities. The third chakra is also the place where you find your sense of integrity and your personal code of honor. The fifth chakra regulates the choices you make in expressing and living up to your honor code. But the third is the center where the code is first formed. The more fully your third chakra values are developed throughout your life, the more positively they will be expressed by your fifth chakra choices. This energy center resonates with your integrity, personal pride, and dignity, which are the positive aspects of the ego. Shame, loss of face, and lack of personal identity are the power crisis of this chakra. An honor code is essential for you to maintain a healthy spirit and body. Compromising your values or lacking a spiritual backbone puts you at physical and spiritual risk. On the material plane, your third chakra lets you know where you stand in a given situation. Its energy directs you to the location in any physical setting that is most advantageous to your self-esteem, to your sense of self-esteem. How you will project yourself to other people. In a social gathering, for instance, the chakra's energy might direct you to stand against a wall, sit in a chair in the corner, or position yourself in the middle of the room and move from one group of people to another. At a business meeting, the third chakra is continuously sending you messages about where best to sit and where to address your attention. A woman named Georgia's third chakra energy was dominated by the archetype of the martyr, which caused her to feel that she always had to work harder and struggle more than the rest of her family to get by. Her sister had married a successful man, and both her brothers seemed to be living free from any responsibilities. Georgia, on the other hand, did not like her job or the place where she lived. She wanted to move, but was afraid to strike out on her own in another town. By the time I met her, she had more or less given up hope for ever being happy. When she agreed that she had a martyr archetype, she at first interpreted it to mean she was born to suffer, which is not necessarily the case. I explained to her that she had a choice about how the influence of that archetypical pattern could work in her psyche and life. If she decided not to examine the meaning of her martyr experiences, she could give the archetype power to create more martyrdom experiences for her. She could also choose, however, to examine her motivation for controlling others through her martyr behavior and begin to challenge this destructive pattern in her personality. It took some doing to persuade Georgia to open up, but once she did, we discussed some historical figures who had martyr archetypes yet represented great power, such as Jesus and Gandhi, along with a few people from her personal life. She recognized that they all had inspired others to find courage in their fears and to believe that their lives could be better. This insight made Georgia consider finally facing her fear of moving and changing her life. I can see where I have contracts with my brothers and sisters to examine the martyr in me, she said, and that they are doing me a favor by bringing that about. And I can see that I am consumed with self-pity, and have felt for a long time that my life has nothing to offer me. They are very positive people, and that's another trait of theirs that I have always resented. Georgia ultimately chose to use her martyr as a symbol of death of self and rebirth to a new life, one of its most empowering aspects. And I will read the archetype we left off at, which is a wounded healer. Okay, so the next one is hedonist. Bon vivant, chef, gourmet, gourmand, sybarite, also mystic. This archetype has an appetite for the pleasurable aspects of life, from good food and wine to sexuality and sensuality. As scientific research has shown, pleasure can improve our health and extend our lives and needs to be part of a balanced life. Indulging the self is central to the psyche of this archetype, whether treating oneself to a health spa or learning the nuances of lovemaking. That the hedonist is generally thought of as someone who pursues extremes of self-indulgence is more a reflection of our Puritan heritage than the archetype itself. In positive terms, it inspires creative energy in the psyche to embrace the good things in life. It also challenges, in a positive way, the collective archetypical fear of being seduced and losing control in the physical world. Shadow hedonist may manifest as pursuing pleasure without regard for the other people or one's own good health. The search for physical ecstasy parallels the search for spiritual transformation. a truth that is apparent in the dual identity of the famous Greek icon of pleasure-seeking Dionysus. Besides being a god of wine and fertility, later adopted by the Romans as Bacchus, Dionysus also represents the goal of mystery religions, like those practiced at Ulysses. Aesthetic delivery from the mundane world through the physical or spiritual intoxication induced by secret rites. The sacrament of Soma, also a god of the Vedic pantheon, played a similar role in the ancient Indian spirituality. Some of the films: Babette's Feast, Like Water for Chocolate, Big Night, fiction Tom Jones by Henry Fielding, The Unbearable Lightness of Being, Milan Kundera, Les Liaisons Dangereuses by P. Chaudres de Lecolos, Religion and Myth, Oshun, Yoruba goddess of love and pleasure who is generous and benign, Bebhinon, Irish patron goddess of pleasure, Qadesh, Western Semitic fertility goddess and epitome of female sexuality and eroticism, Bes, Egyptian dwarf god originally associated with royalty and childbirth, who became popular among the masses as a god of human pleasure, of mirth, music, and dance.